The moment the steel security doors slammed shut, I heard my boss whisper my name as if it were the last word she had left in the world. Then the lights above us flickered, the emergency alarm went silent, and Claire Whitmore, the woman everyone in our office believed was incapable of fear, collapsed against the glass conference room wall with tears filling her eyes. Before I tell you why being trapped inside that sunlit office changed both of our lives forever, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances. Sometimes the person who seems the strongest is only waiting for someone to notice how close they are to breaking them. My name is Grant Mercer, and for almost 3 years, Claire Whitmore had been my boss at Whitmore & Lane, a small architectural restoration firm in Portland, Maine. Claire was 36, sharply intelligent, relentlessly disciplined, and so controlled that even her silence could make a room full of experienced designers sit straighter. She wore tailored jackets, kept every meeting exactly on schedule, and corrected mistakes with a calmness that somehow felt worse than shouting. Most employees respected her. Some feared her. A few openly disliked her. I had spent most of my time trying not to become any of those people, because beneath her guarded expression, I had occasionally seen something softer, a tired smile when an intern presented a good idea, a hand resting gently on an old building's damaged brickwork, or the way she quietly paid for lunch whenever someone on the team was struggling financially. Claire hid her kindness as carefully as other people hid their weaknesses. That I had joined the firm after losing my father and leaving a larger company where every project felt empty. My father had been a carpenter who believed buildings carried memories, and Whitmore & Lane specialized in saving forgotten libraries, schools, and historic homes from demolition. The work mattered to me, but the job was never easy. Claire pushed me harder than anyone else. She returned my drafts covered in precise notes, questioned every assumption, and once made me redesign an entire community center entrance because she said it looked impressive but did not feel welcoming. I had been furious until I visited the neighborhood and realized she was right. The families there did not need a monument. They needed a place that felt like it belonged to them. That was Claire's gift. She saw what people needed even when she refused to admit what she needed herself. The day we were locked inside the office began beneath a clear summer sky. Sunlight poured through the tall windows, turning the drafting tables golden and warming the old wooden floors. It was a Saturday, and the building was nearly empty because the rest of the staff had gone to a company picnic by the waterfront. Claire and I had stayed behind to finish a proposal for the restoration of the Bellamy Children's Library, a century-old building scheduled for demolition unless our firm could secure emergency funding. The project mattered deeply to Claire, though she never explained why. She had spent weeks fighting city officials, donors, and developers who wanted the property cleared for luxury apartments. I had spent those same weeks watching her grow thinner, quieter, and more exhausted. Around noon, a maintenance crew began testing the building's new automated security system. We barely noticed until a loud metallic crash echoed from the hallway. Every interior door locked at once. The elevators shut down, the stairwell doors sealed, and our phones lost service when the system interrupted the building's network. At first, I thought it was a minor malfunction. I tried the emergency release, checked the breaker panel, and called through the glass toward the lobby, but the maintenance workers had already left the floor, believing the test was complete. Through the windows, I could see bright traffic moving along the street below, people carrying iced drinks and shopping bags through the afternoon sunshine, completely unaware that we were trapped 6 floors above them. Claire remained composed for several minutes. She checked every exit, searched for the building manager's private number, and calmly told me there would be a timed reset. Then the emergency lights flickered, the ventilation system stopped, and a heavy metal shutter dropped across the main lobby entrance. That was when she froze. Her face lost its color. Her breathing became shallow, and the folder in her hand slipped onto the floor. I had never seen her frightened, but the fear in her eyes was immediate and overwhelming. She backed into the conference room wall as though the locked office were shrinking around her. I moved toward her slowly, careful not to crowd her. I told her we were safe, that the windows were open slightly, that someone would realize the system had failed. Claire nodded, but her hands were trembling. She pressed one palm against her chest and tried to draw a full breath. I guided her toward a chair near the brightest window and placed a glass of water beside her. For several minutes, she stared at the sunlight on the floor while I counted slow breaths with her. Gradually, the panic loosened its grip. Her shoulders lowered, and color returned to her face, but embarrassment replaced the fear. She admitted that locked spaces had terrified her since childhood. When she was 11, her father had accidentally left her inside an abandoned house he was inspecting for redevelopment. He had believed she was waiting in the car. She remained trapped in a small pantry for nearly 5 hours while sunlight disappeared through a narrow crack beneath the door. Her father eventually found her, but instead of comforting her, he accused her of being dramatic. Claire had spent the rest of her life proving that nothing frightened her. She built routines, controlled every detail, and never allowed anyone to see her panic because vulnerability had once been treated like a personal failure. Hearing the truth changed something inside me. Claire was not cold because she lacked feeling. She was controlled because feeling had once made her unsafe. I sat across from her and confessed that I understood more than she realized. After my father died, I had returned to work within 4 days. I told everyone I was fine, accepted extra assignments, and kept moving because standing still meant facing the empty chair in his workshop. I had spent years pretending grief was something I had completed rather than something I carried. Claire looked at me with a softness I had never seen directed toward me before. For the first time, neither of us was an employee or a boss. We were simply two people admitting that strength had become a disguise. The office grew warmer as the afternoon sun crossed the windows. We tried again to find a way out. I climbed onto a storage cabinet to reach an old ventilation hatch, but it was too narrow. Claire searched the building plans and found a mechanical access corridor behind the records room. For a moment, hope rose between us, but when we removed the panel, we discovered another locked steel door. The failure felt heavier because we had believed we were close. Claire struck the wall with the flat of her hand and accused herself of wasting time on the library proposal when she should have attended the picnic with everyone else. Her words revealed a deeper frustration. The Bellamy Library proposal was almost certain to fail. One of the firm's largest clients, property developer Conrad Vail, had privately warned Claire that supporting the library restoration would cost Whitmore and Lane several profitable contracts. The board had pressured her to abandon the project. She had refused, but refusal came with consequences. If the proposal failed, the firm might lose enough business to force layoffs. Claire had been carrying that decision alone, allowing the staff to believe she was merely obsessed with winning. That I was stunned. I had recently accused her of caring more about buildings than people after she rejected my request to expand the project budget. I had said the words in frustration, but I saw now how deeply they had wounded her. She had been trying to save the library without risking the livelihoods of 23 employees. Every sharp correction, every late afternoon, and every difficult compromise had been part of a struggle no one else could see. I apologized. Not the quick apology people offer to end discomfort, but the kind that requires surrendering pride. I told her I had judged her by the decisions visible to me and ignored the burdens hidden behind them. Claire did not immediately forgive me. She looked toward the city and admitted that my accusation had stayed with her because it echoed her greatest fear that in becoming like her father, she had learned to preserve structures while damaging people. She wondered whether her staff respected her work but dreaded her presence. She wondered whether winning the library project was worth anything if everyone around her felt small. That I could have reassured her with easy words, but she deserved honesty. I told her that she did intimidate people, that her standards sometimes left no room for learning, and that silence made her decisions appear harsher than they were. Then I told her what else I had seen: the anonymous grocery gift card left on a receptionist's desk, the paid leave quietly arranged for an employee caring for his mother, the junior designer whose mistake she corrected privately so he would not be humiliated. Claire had not lost her compassion. She had simply hidden it so well that people could only guess at her intentions. A tear slipped down her cheek, and she turned away as if even that small emotion required privacy. She confessed that the Bellamy Library had been the only safe place in her childhood. After the pantry incident, she began spending afternoons there while her father worked. The librarian, Margaret Bellamy, never demanded explanations. She gave Claire books, let her sit near the large front windows, and taught her that old places could become shelters rather than prisons. Years later, Margaret died and left behind no family, but Claire had never forgotten her. Saving the library was not a business strategy. It was her attempt to repay a kindness that had once kept her from believing the world was entirely cruel. The proposal on the table suddenly became more than a contract. It was a letter of gratitude written in blueprints, budgets, and restoration plans. I opened the folder and reviewed our final presentation. The design was beautiful, but the funding model was weak. While we waited for the security system to reset, we began working again, not because Claire ordered me to, but because I wanted to help. We removed expensive features, redesigned the interior using donated materials, and created a public workshop program that could attract local sponsors. I remembered my father's network of carpenters and preservation volunteers. Claire remembered former clients who valued community investment. For the next 2 hours, our fear became focus, then we found the turning point hidden inside a stack of archived property documents. The library's original deed contained a preservation clause stating that the land had been donated to the city for permanent educational use. If enforceable, the clause could prevent the luxury development and give our proposal time to secure funding. Claire stared at the document with disbelief. The paper had been misfiled years earlier during a previous survey. We photographed every page using my phone, though we still had no signal to send the images. Shortly afterward, the ventilation system restarted. A green light flashed above the conference room door, but the exits remained locked. Through the hallway glass, we saw the maintenance supervisor return with 2 building engineers. They could see us, but the system would not release immediately. The supervisor held up a note saying the doors should open within 20 minutes. Relief flooded through me, yet Claire did not look relieved. She looked strangely sad, as if the reopening doors would restore every wall that had briefly disappeared between us. We stood beside the window while sunlight spread across the harbor in the distance. Claire asked what I would do if the board removed her for defying Conrad Vale. I told her I would present the deed evidence publicly, stand behind the library proposal, and accept whatever consequences followed. She reminded me that I had spent years rebuilding my career and could not afford another reckless decision. I told her there was a difference between recklessness and choosing the person I wanted to become. The lock clicked behind us, but neither of us moved. Claire looked at the open conference room door, then back at me. Her voice was quiet when she asked whether I wanted to stay a little longer and finish the revised proposal before leaving. The question sounded simple, yet I knew she was asking something larger. She was asking whether I wanted to remain beside her after seeing her fear, her mistakes, and the tenderness she kept hidden. She was asking whether the connection created inside those locked rooms would vanish once the doors opened. That I answered with the only truth I had left. I said I wanted to stay with her. Claire's eyes filled again, but this time she smiled. It was not the controlled professional smile she used in meetings. It was uncertain, hopeful, and deeply human. We did not rush into promises. We did not pretend that one difficult afternoon had erased years of guarded habits. We simply returned to the table, sat side by side, and completed the proposal while daylight remained bright across the city. The following week, Claire presented the preservation clause to the city council. Conrad Vale threatened legal action and withdrew 2 major contracts from the firm. For several tense days, layoffs seemed unavoidable. Then something unexpected happened. Local residents learned why the library mattered and began sharing their own memories of it. Carpenters volunteered labor. Businesses offered supplies. Parents organized fundraising events. Former employees returned to help. Even several clients who had remained silent chose to support the restoration publicly. The board did not remove Claire. Instead, they approved a new community preservation division, built around the model we created that afternoon. Claire changed too. She began explaining difficult decisions rather than hiding behind authority. She invited junior designers to challenge her ideas. She apologized when her standards became cruelty disguised as excellence. The office did not become effortless, but it became warmer. People stopped fearing mistakes because Claire finally allowed them to see that she made them too. For us, we moved carefully. Claire insisted that I transfer to another department before we considered a relationship, and I respected her for it. Months later, on the day the restored Bellamy Children's Library reopened, we stood beneath its high windows as children filled the reading room with laughter. A small brass plaque near the entrance honored Margaret Bellamy and everyone who believed safe places could change a life. Claire rested her hand in mine, no longer hiding what she felt. She told me that for years, she believed love meant giving someone the power to trap or abandon you. I told her love could also mean leaving the door open and trusting someone to stay. She looked around the library that had once protected her, then at the people who had helped save it. Her past had not disappeared, but it no longer controlled every room she entered. Before this story ends, please leave a meaningful comment about a time when someone's hidden struggle changed the way you saw them. Sometimes understanding begins when we stop asking why a person is difficult and start wondering what they may have survived. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. Claire and I entered that office believing locked doors were the worst thing that could happen to us. Instead, being trapped forced us to unlock the truths we had hidden from everyone, including ourselves. The library survived, the firm found a better purpose, and two guarded hearts discovered that staying does not mean surrendering your freedom. Sometimes it means finally finding a place and a person where you no longer feel the need to run.